Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to show you all the Rogue Covenant options, explaining how the abilities work and what their strengths and weaknesses are in different kinds of content. But before we do that, make sure you drop down and hit that subscribe and like button for more awesome Shadowlands videos. Okay, let's jump into it. So, the first covenant that we will discuss is Venthyr. They are the Gothic-themed covenant located out of Revendreth. Now, Revendreth is a pretty interesting looking place. It is a vampire-themed zone with lots of dark Gothic castles, gargoyles, and vampire-looking monsters that roam about. So, if you choose to side with Venthyr, the main covenant ability that you will receive is called Flagellation. Now, on use, how this ability works is it lashes the target 3 times, dealing 73 shadow damage and adding a stack of flagellation for each lash. The target remains tormented for 20 seconds, receiving an additional lash for each combo point that you spend. Reactivating flagellation cleanses their torment and increases your haste by 0.5% per stack up to a maximum of 15% haste for 20 seconds. This ability functions very similarly to Ashvane's Razor Coral, if you remember the trinket from Eternal Palace. Essentially what you want to do is you want to use flagellation on a target, and then try to spend as many combo points as you can to build up your stacks. You will then reuse flagellation right before Torment expires to receive a nice haste buff. Although I think this ability excels in single target situations, it is not completely irrelevant in situations with adds. The designers really did a great job of adding some flexibility in here by not requiring you to spend combo points on the target that you torment. So for example, if you use flagellation on a primary target and then swap to an add and hit a few finishers, you are still building stacks of flagellation. This is really nice because it keeps this ability from becoming completely useless in situations where you have multiple targets. The one thing that you do need to keep in mind with this ability is that unlike Razor Coral, Torment only lasts 20 seconds. So you want to make sure and use this ability during windows where you can have uninterrupted uptime on the boss. The second ability that you will get for rolling Venthyr is called Door of Shadows. On use, you wend through the shadows, appearing at the targeted location. This ability is essentially another form of teleport, or a gap close, that you will be able to add to your toolkit. And it functions kind of like a mix between grappling hook and shadow step. The only caveat to this ability is that it does have a short cast time, but it is not so long that it would make it irrelevant. I think overall, rolling Venthyr seems like a great choice, especially if you plan to do a lot of raiding and PvP. There could be better options if you like to run a lot of Mythic Plus, but I think if you use these abilities well, the difference could be very negligible. I would also like to add that the transmog and mount that Venthyr has is one of the better looking armor sets, so don't be afraid to go this direction for that reason alone. Next up on the list is the Night Fae Covenant. Now, Night Fae finds its home in Ardenweald, which is a really beautiful zone. It's kind of like a forest-themed zone, very similar to Moonglade. I'm not really all caught up on the lore, but I believe that those who call Ardenweald home would be closely associated with the green dragon aspects and the druid demigods like Cenarius. If you choose to go Night Fae, the primary ability that you receive is called Sepsis. On use, what it does is it infects the target's blood, dealing 2,090 nature damage over 10 seconds. If the target survives its full duration, they suffer an additional 941 damage, and you gain 1 use of any stealth ability for 5 seconds. The cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds if Sepsis does not last its full duration. So this is a pretty neat ability. You get a dot over 10 seconds, and then another big burst of damage if the target survives. You also gain use of one of your stealth abilities after it expires. And just to clarify, that does not reset your vanish cooldown, but instead it makes abilities that you can use while stealth available. So for example, Cheap Shot, Ambush, Sap, Shadow Strike, something like that. The second Night Fae ability you receive is called Soul Shape. And on use, what this ability does is it turns you into a Vulpin. I guess that's some kind of fox. You teleport 15 yards forward and increase your movement speed by 50%. You can also reactivate this ability every few seconds to teleport again. It lasts 12 seconds or indefinitely if you're in a rest area. Right now, my initial thoughts on Night Fae is that it would be fairly strong in PvP in a dungeon environment. The dot from Sepsis would be pretty practical on trash mobs, and especially on other players if you're getting a benefit from a reduced cooldown or if the target dies before it expires. So, it's kind of a win-win scenario. I also really like the secondary ability. I'm always using my movement cooldowns like Sprint, so having another one is really practical. Not just for running around in circles, but if you're raiding, getting back to the boss in time for more damage, catching a kiting player, or running back to your dungeon group if you're dead. The armor set for Night Fae is also pretty cool. It's kind of like a wooded fairy looking set. I'm not huge on the dress, but it definitely doesn't look bad. I also really love this giant antler mount. That is for sure one of the coolest mounts I've seen. The next covenant on our list is the Necrolord Covenant. Now, this is the warrior clan, and they are located in Maldraxxus, which is a war-torn zone filled with lots of green slime and battlefields. It also contains the same reanimated creatures that we have fought back on Azeroth. Remember Patchwork from Naxxramas and Professor Putricide from ICC? Well, it's basically the same thing. So if you pride yourself in fighting and you like roaming around, waging war against monsters, then I think this might be a good fit for you. The primary Covenant ability with Necrolord is called Serrated Bone Spike, and it is a ranged dot attack with 3 charges that awards 1 combo point per active bone spike out. The on use of this ability embeds a bone spike in the target, dealing 432 damage and 144 bleed damage every 3 seconds until they die. It refunds a charge when the target dies or is healed to full. This ability functions pretty well, and the fact that it's a range ability is really useful in a lot of different situations. If you play a wide variety of content, I think this could work well in PvP and raids and even in dungeons. I personally find this ability synergizes really well with all of the rogue specs, but I personally find it more appealing with subtlety and assassination. The second ability that you get from Necrolord is called Fleshcraft. On use, it forms a shield of flesh and bone over 4 seconds that absorbs damage equal to 20% of your maximum health for 2 minutes. Channeling near a corpse, however, claims their essence to grow your shield up to 50% of your maximum health. This is the most effective against power enemies. I'm not entirely sold on the functionality of this ability, and although the shield is very nice, it has a fairly long channeling time. So using it on cooldown and Mythic Plus would definitely slow you down, and trying to use it in a raid will be difficult to get the full 50% benefit because there's not always going to be dead trash around everywhere. So it can be kind of situational. That being said, I think this ability would shine really well in solo content like Torghast, so if that's going to be your thing, then this is definitely going to be a good choice. The transmog options with Necrolord are pretty cool. It's not really my cup of tea, but it has kind of an undead bone type theme to it, and it also has a pretty cool mount. So I definitely think this would be one of the best all-around options to choose from if you like the transmog and if you play a wide variety of content. The last Covenant choice that we're going to talk about is Kyrian. The Kyrians are angelic beings from the Shadowlands, and they reside on the continent of Bastion. Now, I would say this has to be one of my favorite zones in all of Shadowlands. I mean, this place is absolutely stunning. There are a lot of unique creatures roaming around in here, from gazelles to owls to the mechanical constructs that help guard this zone. If you choose to go with Kyrian, then your primary Covenant ability is going to be Echoing Reprimand. On use, this ability deals 1,331 arcane damage to an enemy, extracting their anima to anima charge a combo point for 45 seconds. Damaging moves that consume the same number of combo points as your anima charge functions as if they consumed 7 combo points. Okay, so at first this is a little bit confusing, but the easiest way to explain it is when you use this ability, it will turn one of your combo points blue. If you use a damaging finishing move, like Eviscerate, Between the Eyes, and Venom, on that blue combo point, then it will treat that finishing move as if you spent 7 combo points, essentially just giving it a nice damage boost. So this ability is very flexible. You know, it'll give you a lot of benefit in different scenarios, and it should blend well with all different rogue specs. The secondary ability that you will receive is called Summon Steward. When you use this ability, your steward will come running to you and automatically give you a Vial of Serenity. On use, this vial restores 20% of your health and removes all curses, diseases, poisons, and bleed effects. The Vial of Serenity, in my opinion, is one of the stronger secondary abilities available to us, and it will be very helpful in dungeons, PvP, and raids, and leveling. So if you like to lean on survivability, then this will be a really good pick for you. I anticipate that you're going to want to use this ability at the start of a dungeon and before boss pulls, just to make sure that you're full on vials, because it does have a substantial 5-minute cooldown. So make sure you plan to use your vials wisely. I personally really like all of these abilities with the Kyrian Covenant, and the Transmog is really, really nice. It's kind of like a paladin themed set. So after doing this video, I'm still undecided between all the covenants that I have to choose from. But I think right now I'm leaning towards Kyrian. Well, that's all the rogue covenant abilities in Shadowlands. I hope that this video was helpful for you as you make plans for the coming expansion. And if you like this video, make sure to drop a subscribe and like, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time. Peace.